Good evening. Thank you very much, Smita and her colleagues, the India Bioscience team, to give me an opportunity to come in front of such a wonderful young people. Probably, I may be the most boring person to talk today. I'm sorry to say that because I was asking Smita, how many of people after doing science, grads and postgrads or maybe PhD, come and accept and say that yes, I like to work on sales. In this audience, I wanted to know how many people really like to work on sales. So it's a simple of how boring is my job is. But I'm telling you, this is going to be the most beautiful job in this whole universe. And that's the way I stood here. Way back in early 90s, when I finished my postgrad, I wanted to apply for an MPhil. It was a very tough time those days. Now, opportunities for science is very huge. You click a button on your Google search, you get extraordinary options. Those days, if you go to library to search a book, you have to go and beg on the library manager, or you have to go and ask your professor, sir, something I want to look at, where I should look at, in the which shelf I should look at. He say that, I don't know. Simple. So every time the people like us on a fulcrum who are not getting real guidance from the academic side, probably may not be today also, as Smita in the initial talk mentioned, that when somebody is finishing his or her post-graduation in science, specifically on biological sciences, there is only main objective for them is that, yes, let me do a PhD and go on academics, and at some point of time, I figure out what next I do. I think Fatima is around here, or she left, I don't know.
No, she had to leave.
Yeah. But why we got a Fatima today is because Alex asked a question, what next? And he kept on asking what next. Because of that, we got such an entrepreneur or a technology entrepreneur like Fatima. I am not an entrepreneur as such as a scientific entrepreneur. I am a completely business entrepreneur. I only knows to sell. You give me a cat, I'll go and sell it as an elephant. That's the only thing I know. If somebody asks me, where is the trunk of the elephant? I will tell that it is being chopped off. Very simple thing. So, I will start with one small story which inspired me as well. I don't know whether you heard about a pen salesperson story. There's a guy who used to sell pen. Very beautiful. He's having two categories of pens. One pen is very nice at low cost, and he's having an amazingly fashionable pen which is slightly higher cost. So he used to go to customers and then ask which one pen you wanted to sell, and he's tried to explain a lot of things with the highest piece where he get more incentive, but nobody buys because everybody says that pen is a pen, I have to write. What else I want? A fashionable pen in my pocket, so I'll buy this one. So he goes back and his manager says, you could only sell this one, the other one is not sold. So he's always given a very small number of stocks of the higher pens. So he went back home and sat and thought, how I sell the better pens and then I'll get more money. Basically, everybody works for money. Anybody comes and says that it's passion, ends up in dollars. Nothing else. Very simple. If you work hardcore in your lab, after 6 months, if your fellowship is not coming, don't you get bored? Of course. Because your parents has already told you, please earn yourself. Our job is over. But here, what this person did is, he went and took another pen, painted in a much better way, made it as a premier pen. So he's having a normal pen, he's having an extraordinary pen, and then he's having a premier pen. So he went with 3 choices to the customer. And he priced the third pen which has come as a premier pen 50% more priced than the second pen which he wanted to sell. So he explained everything. Customer started saying, I don't want such an expensive pen. I'm okay with the second pen. So he started selling the second pen. So this is what brings in sales and marketing. Sales is different, marketing is different. Please understand that. Sales is an intent to sell a product, but marketing is what you are going to coat it as a sugar and create a cream, make it very colorful like a rangoli, and then present it in a posters like, okay, somebody is standing like this, somebody is looking at like this and all. But end of the day, marketing people do this, but people like us will go and sell it. Okay, so now, at least listening to these 5 minutes, any more interest coming in sales instead of one hand which has gone up? This is the beautiful part of sales. So I'll just rush through my slides. There is nothing much like 30 slides or 25 slides in my deck. Okay. What is sales and marketing? I already told. The typical goal is to generate interest and sell and earn revenue. Okay. But please understand, as I told you, the most beautiful job is sales. I'll tell you why. You have 365 days in a year. And it will be 365 days. Because even Saturday, Sunday to Monday, Tuesday to Friday, you start looking very different. Because if you wear the same shirt and go to the customer says, hey, iske paas to ek hi shirt hai. So you wear a second shirt. Okay? You go and meet a different customer every day. So that day is very different. One customer is extremely helpful and polite. The next customer says that, yeah, this guy has come. I told him to come at 3 o'clock and 2:45 he's in the door. So salespeople are like that because they wanted sales, so they go and stand there. Even 2:30 also I went and stood. I remember in All India Institute of Medical Sciences, in pathology department, on my 3rd day of my career, when my director told me and go and hand over a catalog to one Dr. Manoj Singh. He was a very senior pathological doctor. So I went and knocked a door. I was not knowing where is Dr. Manoj Singh's cabin. I knocked at the door. So one professor opened. And she asked me, what do you want? I told her, I wanted to meet Dr. Manoj Singh. You think I'm a PRO? I got her back because see, I was too young at that point of time. I don't know how people react. So one of the most beautiful things what you learn about sales and marketing or in business is that how to react and respond. There are two things. One is reaction and the other one is response. So in sales, you only respond. The moment you react, your revenue is gone. There's nothing else left on your pocket, it's gone. So you always become more temperamental. When my wife calls, I'll tell her, okay, take. The moment Dr. Kumar calls from IAC, wherever I am, I will pick up my call. There's no way, because if I don't pick up this call, and that call will go to some other salesperson. My wife cannot call anybody else unless she's having a boyfriend. Okay, that's the only thing which will happen. So, this is the deck which explained to you what I explained to you. Okay, nothing else. Now, there are different models of categories of selling to scientific community which comes from business to customers, business to business. Now, in stylish way, people say, I do B2B and I do B2C and all. That's the reason I put that words there. Okay, but I know only one thing. If I buy from somebody else and if I sell to someone, it is business to business. And if I get something and sell to customer, it is business to customer. Very simple terms. But today, the complete market scenarios evolved in such a manner that people also like to listen to those kind of jargons. Okay, you know, people come from a lot of business school and then start talking like that. Hey, dude. I don't know from where this dude has come. In our time, we normally say that, hi, sir, how are you? Now, even to customers, a lot of people saying that, hey, dude, hi, bro, and all. But that is one of the reasons I also put here B2B and B2C and stuff like that. But every person, when you're looking at and reflect yourself to enter into a career of sales, you should know how to communicate with a customer. Okay? A greetings is extremely important. And it is not necessary that you will get a response or a greeting back. And that doesn't mean that the customer is angry with you or he likes you. Okay? So the perceptions are going to keep changing because the person sitting in the other side is also a human being. He's not just a number for you. At any point of view, you think like that, okay, if I sell him anything about 5 lakh rupees, okay, my incentive will be 5,000 rupees. So that's a whole set of mind with the salesperson enters the places. When you go to a customer, he also segments you in 3 categories. Whether you can create an impact, or whether you are a mediocre or not worth their time. Okay? But this happens on regular interactions. I can tell you, no customer will listen to you unless you keep talking. See, you also, you think in your normal lifetime, when you're in your house, a person comes continuously to home, you start understanding about him and you start greeting him. First time he comes and go, he's thinking like that, oh, this guy came and talked something and left. But when he comes and talks sensible second time, and third time when he comes and emphasizes and gives some impact on something which you want to talk, you start realizing as he's a person who we can accept. The same thing for a sales career as well. So now, you have multiple choices today in industry. It is not only sales. But when I'm talking about sales, there are technical salespeople who normally won't directly see a customer. But over a phone, they can give a lot of scientific information. I worked in an organization where most of the people are coming from either an MSc biotechnology or a PhD in mold bio or stuff like that, biochemistry, microbiology. But at some point of time, either they would have seen a PCR or they might have worked on a real-time PCR or done something like a sequencing work or seen sequencing data or something like that. So today's industry actually expect people like you. The opportunity is very big. I don't know whether I'll be, anybody is familiar about this person? His name is Craig Venter. Okay, he's a person who revolutionized sequencing. When government was trying to do a lot of sequencing, this guy in a private side did the whole lot of sequencing of human genome. Okay, so if you look at that, why this photograph is very interesting to me is that he's having two coats, half of mine and half of yours. So definitely, if we both parallelly walk together, the path ahead is going to be beautiful. And I can vouch at you, because many a times, as our bioscience team told that, they have given their team members, all did extraordinarily good things in science. But they wanted to be part of science, but they don't want to be in the bench. Okay, but here also the same thing. You will be part of science, you learn new technologies. I don't know, how many people heard about TACMAN? Yeah. So TACMAN is a principle invented by a scientist. You know how? Anybody heard about a game named Pac-Man? Okay? From Pac-Man, it has become TACMAN, because Pac-Man moves through the leaf of that big grasses and all, and try to pick up certain things. The same thing is what TACMAN is doing. TACMAN is nothing but it is actually incorporating the dye, and then the fluorescence is coming up. Basically, that's the principle. So every person, a PhD holder or a person with few years of experience in science, is a very good friend for companies like, I will show you a slide where many of the companies still look at people. Now, why I am telling you there is a path for you? See, a little bit of a data on the emerging market. India is considered to be an emerging market, though we keep on emerging. We will never become emerged, okay? Because there are people who are already emerged. They are sitting somewhere, and their growth is single unit. Please understand. That is the reason they are emerged. Then they will no more they can emerge. Okay? India is keep emerging because we are still growing at two numbers, 22%, 21%. America growth is 4%. But that base number of that 4% is huge. India's, the Asia or Asia Pac, now they've made a new territory, APAC, Asia Pacific. So if you look at that, you have North America, you have Europe, you have APAC, but you have rest of the world, in which many of those areas will be assigned to us, which is Asia. And China is going to be the superpower on science that America understand. I think most of the people knew about the huge genome institute in China, right? BGI. So the kind of data churns out by BGI is much, much bigger than what are the other institutes which in America is coming out with. Okay? So this is the place where you have a huge opportunity. So keep your options. I'm not telling jump into sales or in technical sales or something like that. But there is a beautiful thing which you miss. You can see, you have science in your hand. You can always go back to your bench. But once you keep on sitting warming your bench, you cannot come back to this beautiful world. You will be left alone there. Your colleagues will jump into the pool and start swimming and beautifully cross across. And from that side, he said, "अरे यार, पहले आना चाहिए था ना. ये तो बताने वाला ही है." Okay. Now, these are the most popular companies. Basically, I put those which you are familiar with, but there are a lot of other Indian companies, very good company. I started my career in a company named Lab India, okay, which is one of the most popular company in scientific community because the support system was extremely good. They never put any hierarchy. They never put any certain restrictions to go to customers and support them at any point of time. They never expected that your customer should pay for this visit, then only you should go. So there are companies like that. But I'm just giving you for your idea, there are companies like, see, all these companies are recruiting people in India now because they know that if they don't bring people into this geographic area, it is extremely difficult to go to each and every corner of this country. I'm telling you, many of the business happens on the tier 2 and tier 3 cities of India today because even the funding agencies, they are fed up giving huge amount of money to bigger institutes in the major metropolitan cities. So in the tier 2 and tier 3 cities, there are a lot of funding coming up nowadays and a lot of our own good scientists sitting in the committee saying that enough is enough, let us give to some people who also want to really come up and do some research and other activities. So these are the some of those companies which give us an opportunity to do. Now, what you need in yourself to become a sales or a marketing person? I always feel that the good attribute of a person comes out when he is pushed to the wall many times. I think you heard about Steve Jobs, right? He is one of the super CEOs you can ever. I don't know whether you heard about his Stanford lecture. It's a very small video which is very viral across. You have to listen to that, the way he talks, okay? And he's being chucked out of his company by his own board. And then he went and invented another company. And later on, he was being brought back to that company. That's a masterpiece. You know what he used to say to every employee? When he meets an employee and then greets, he says that, "What is that one idea you can tell me today?" Now, we used to say that an apple a day, keep the doctor away. So he says that an idea a day keeps me away from you to his employees. So what happens is that you start really innovating. You will bring in a lot of ideas automatically because if you wanted to compete with someone and become successful, you have to bring something different on you. If you do regular things, you will become the same person. And change is evolving. It keeps on growing. It keeps changing. So you have to do something different. So in research, what do? You have a specific target to achieve. And in order to achieve and reach that place, you keep on doing the same thing. That is the reason you are being known as research. You keep on searching it. But here, you don't have time to research. You can only do a search. So you search for new things, search for new customers, search for new products, search for new places to go. So everything is new. You never go to the same customer with the same mood every day. You interact with a lot of different people in one day, which is having 10 people with 15 emotions. One person will talk very nicely. By the end of the conversation, he'll say, "Chala yaar ja." Bas, okay. So you have very complexities involved in this job. But what happens is that in your team, yourself, when you see that, at some point of time, you bring these kind of flavors. You have that leadership quality. You bring the leadership quality and say that, "Arey yaar, aise mat karo. Don't do this. You tried this." In many times in your lab, you might have observed that some of your senior comes and say that, "You kept on trying this, right? Why don't you try this?" So that is what is known as an innovation. In research also there are innovation, but bring that innovation into the market so that you will become also as successful as industry becomes successful. Now, before I conclude, I can just give you a couple of references that there is a book named Paradox of Choice by Barry Schwartz. You can just try to read that so that today what you are thinking and what is your choice and what is your thought process and what you wanted to become. Sometimes it may give you a choice to think. The second one is where choice is demotivating, which is written by Sheena Iyengar. It's an Indian. So just read that, but also read, there is a very brilliant writer named Shiv Khera, You Can Win. Read that book. It's a very simple book. You Can Win. So with that note, I'm going to conclude my very small talk. Think about it, evolve yourself, and think you can be part of this industry and make the industry much bigger in India. While doing that, you slowly become an entrepreneur. Thank you very much. Now I think some of more people will be lifting the hand, say that, yes, Rajesh, I will come and join you guys. Thank you very much.